Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
We start tonight with the surge in holiday COVID cases in New York. Governor Hochul says the state is seeing a 97% increase in cases since before Christmas. Also troubling, more children are being admitted into the hospital in some parts of the state. Big Fox's Matt Kleindienst joins us with the details in our top story.
Good evening, and Governor Hochul continued to urge residents to get vaccinated, get their booster, and get tested as New York forges through this winter surge.
We have seen a major uptick in cases all around us. This is a northeastern phenomenon right now.
Coming out of the Christmas weekend, New York is reporting over 220,000 new COVID cases, an increase of 97% since last Sunday. This spike corresponds with the Omicron variant fueling increasing COVID cases across the country.
Not a surprise. Not something we weren't preparing for, not something we're not ready for, but it is always disturbing to see those numbers continue as they do.
Hospitalizations are also on the rise, with concerns being particularly raised on pediatric COVID patients. While a majority of pediatric cases are in New York City, the health department is urging parents to get their kids vaccinated as soon as possible.
Many people continue to think that children don't become infected with COVID. This is not true. The immunization coverage in this group, the vaccination coverage, remains too low.
With the new year approaching, Governor Hochul is continuing to urge residents to take proper precautions in order to reduce the spread of infection.
Vaccines are the way we can get through our holidays safely. So if you want to be attending your parties, please make sure that people are vaccinated and boosted. You wear your mask. If you're sniffling, if you're not feeling good, just stay home. Watch the ball drop on television, get a nice glass of champagne, and know that you're doing the smart thing.
Governor Hochul will announce updates to the COVID protocols on Friday. Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
Thousands of domestic and international flights in the U.S. have been canceled since Christmas Eve because of the spike of Omicron cases. Charles Watson is at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta.
The travel nightmare continues for thousands of people traveling this holiday weekend. According to FlightAware, airlines canceling more than 2,300 flights amid a rapid spread of the COVID-19 Omicron variant. It's been quite the nightmare for holiday travelers caught in the middle of a wave of cancellations. Thousands of passengers left stranded across the country, including a woman here in Atlanta who says she was forced to spend Christmas Eve with her two sons inside of an Atlanta hotel because her flight was dropped.
We had a delayed flight yesterday, which made us miss our flight to Colombia. Tried to order DoorDash. It was impossible almost to get DoorDash with 4 people, and I feel bad. I hate making people work, but it's like, I'm stranded here with 2 little boys, so we needed to have some type of dinner.
Delta and United Airlines leading the pack among American carriers with the most cancellations. The two calling off a combined 781 flights between Christmas and today, in large part due to staffing shortages. United Airlines saying in a statement, quote, "The nationwide spike in Omicron cases this week has had a direct impact on our flight crews and the people who run our operation. As a result, we've unfortunately had to cancel some flights and are notifying impacted customers in advance of them coming to the airport." Dr. Fauci says higher vaccination rates would help out with a lot of this.
Anything that could get people more vaccinated would be welcome. But with regard to the spread of virus in the country, I mean, I think if you look at wearing a mask and the filtration on planes, things are reasonably safe.
With new CDC guidelines in place that allow for essential workers to return to work 7 days after testing positive, airlines are hoping that'll help deal with a lot of the staffing shortages and flight cancellations we're seeing this holiday. It's hard to tell if that'll be the answer, but in the short term, flight cancellations aren't nearly as robust as we head into the final week of the year. In Atlanta, Charles Watson, Fox News.
Tonight, the New York State Attorney General's office is investigating an officer-involved shooting. It happened last Wednesday in Unadilla. State police say a New York State trooper responded to a domestic dispute and shot 24-year-old Mark Bealby, who was armed with a knife. Bealby later died from his injuries. The investigation is required by law. A Pennsylvania Christmas Day fire takes the life of several members of one family, and investigators are looking at their Christmas tree as the cause. Dan Springer has more.
Just an incredibly sad story, especially with the timing. It happened in Quakertown, Pennsylvania, And investigators are looking at the Christmas tree and the possibility that faulty lights started this tragic fire. The fire department was called to the scene at 1:30 a.m. Christmas morning, so the fire likely started when the whole family was upstairs sleeping. The tree was in the main room downstairs. When fire crews arrived, they tried to get in the front door but were pushed back by the flames. When they finally got inside, they discovered the bodies of the father and his two youngest sons. 41-year-old Eric King died along with his sons, 11-year-old Liam and 8-year-old Patrick. Kristen King and the family's oldest boy, 13-year-old Brady, made it out. They suffered minor burns and were treated and released at the local hospital. The community is devastated. Here's a classmate of one of the boys.
He seemed so happy, and hearing that his house got burnt down and his family was in it, it tore me.
Members of the community set up a GoFundMe page, and the response has been overwhelming. More than 7,500 people have contributed more than $520,000 so far. The fire marshal continues to investigate exactly what happened, but again, early on, it looks like perhaps a dry Christmas tree and the lights. In Seattle, Dan Springer, Fox News.
Condolences being sent from around the world after South Africa's president announced Nobel Peace Prize winning activist Desmond Tutu has died. Trey Yingst has more.
Archbishop Desmond Tutu has died at 90 years old, though he leaves behind an accomplished and purposeful life. The Nobel Peace Prize winner was one of the driving forces to ending the apartheid system in South Africa. Tutu was known for holding interfaith religious services and fighting against racism in all forms. He was described today by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa as a man of extraordinary intellect, integrity, and invincibility. Reactions and condolences are still pouring in from around the world. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson tweeted he was deeply saddened by Tutu's death. This, as French President Emmanuel Macron said Tutu dedicated his life to human rights and equality between people. Pope Francis released a statement offering his condolences to Tutu's family, as did the Dalai Lama. Former President Barack Obama called him a friend today and described him as a universal spirit. And President Joe Biden released a statement saying he and First Lady Jill Biden are heartbroken over who they call a true servant of God. It's rare to have so many world leaders agree on one thing, and that's that Desmond Tutu was a force for good. In Jerusalem, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
A lottery ticket purchased locally just made someone a millionaire this holiday season. The New York Lottery announced that a ticket for Friday's Mega Millions drawing worth $1 million was sold at the Addison 7-Eleven on Main Street. The ticket is a second-place prize in the $187 million lottery game. The Addison lottery ticket numbers are 16, 17, 25, 36, 37, and the Mega Ball number 16. Prizes from the lottery can be collected up to 1 year from the date of the drawing. Still ahead tonight, the holidays may be a trigger for those who are struggling with their mental health.
Mental illness does not take holidays off. So if you're dealing with anxiety, depression, PTSD, mood disorders, you're going to have it during the holidays as well.
More on the 3 most common mental health issues during the holiday months and what you can do to cope.
Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. We did receive a little bit of snow, and now it's just an icy mix outside, so if you have to head out and about, you may want to watch out for those slick roads. We are expecting a little bit warmer conditions, so for the middle of the week, and we have several rounds of rain and also snow coming our way, so this is something that we'll be monitoring for the upcoming day. So for tomorrow, we could have a little bit of snow early in the day, but then we start to dry out in the afternoon. Another storm system approaches, and it will bring the possibility of rain back by Tuesday afternoon, and then a wintry mix Tuesday night as this low starts to drift into the Great Lakes region. So by Tuesday evening, the fuchsia color that you're seeing right over the Twin Tiers, there could be a wintry mix of rain and snow across our area, and this will last through Wednesday morning. So for tomorrow, we're going to start off with a little bit of sunshine, just some peaks of sunshine, but mostly cloudy throughout the day. Temperature readings will be around 36 degrees. There will be a little bit of melting as we warm up to around 42 degrees. Clouds will continue to increase, and we have rain chances by 5 o'clock. But again, then as those temperatures plunge down to near the freezing mark, that will be switching back to frozen precipitation. So most of the rain and snow that has been moving through our area, I should say freezing rain, will drift away by 7 o'clock in the morning. We start off with dry conditions, but then in the afternoon, notice that storm system will be coming in. It will spread precipitation toward our area. Right now, our future radar is showing that there will be some snow showers. I think that will be in the upper atmosphere as it moves down closer to the surface. I think some of that will be melting and then switch back to snow as temperatures plunge down into the 30s. So here's a look at your forecast for tonight. 35 degrees for the low in Corning, right at the freezing mark in Elmira, and around 33 degrees in Wayland. Our highs tomorrow will be about 10 degrees warmer than today, looking at highs around 43 in Corning and around 40 degrees in Bath, Watkins Glen around 43 degrees. We are expecting cloudy conditions with showers in the afternoon, switching over to snow in the evening. Here's a look at your forecast for the upcoming days. We are expecting a lot of cloud cover on Wednesday, and there will be a few isolated showers as well. But notice these temperatures will stay mainly in the 40s, possibly even close to around 50 degrees by Friday. There will be another round of rain on Thursday. Notice those overnight lows will be quite cold in the 30s. And then over the weekend, we have a stronger system coming in, bringing the possibility of rain, and temperatures will be plunging down into the teens by Monday morning, and our highs will only be in the 20s.
You know, the holidays can actually be a trigger for those who may be struggling with their mental health. Anxiety, depression, and PTSD are the three most common issues during the holiday months. Mental health advocate Natasha Pierre says with the added stress of the ongoing pandemic, more people are being met with those holiday blues. But it's not a feeling that just disappears once the holidays are over. Elizabeth Fry explains why.
For some, the holiday season isn't necessarily all things merry and bright.
Everything on TV says 'tis the season to be jolly, but everyone isn't jolly. Everyone isn't feeling festive and celebratory right now, and it's for a myriad of reasons.
Natasha Pierre is a mental health advocate fighting to break the stigma. She says the holidays can actually be a trigger for those who may be struggling.
For some, of course, financial hardships. For others, they're dealing with mental illness or physical health challenges. And for a lot of people across the Tampa Bay area and the nation, there's grief.
Anxiety, depression, and PTSD are the three most common struggles during the holiday months.
Mental illness does not take holidays off. So if you're dealing with anxiety, depression, PTSD, mood disorders, you're going to have it during the holidays as well.
Pierre says with the added stress of the ongoing pandemic, more people are being met with those holiday blues. But it's not a feeling that just disappears once the holidays are over.
We had a lot of distractions through November and December to really keep us occupied and focus on family and friends and shopping. But when January comes around and we have the bills, what's going to happen then?
She says if your loved ones are struggling, don't be afraid to step in and speak up. But if you're the one who may be feeling a little less merry this holiday,
in order to even get support, to get help, you've got to be honest with what you're feeling. And it's okay to not feel festive.
Remember, you're not alone, and brighter days are ahead. In the meantime, Pierre says you can still make the most of your holiday by setting boundaries and being honest.
My recommendation is to pause, step back, create new traditions, have conversations, get to know your family.
Food prices expected to start hitting wallets across the country. Your next trip to the grocery store could cost even more. Food prices are estimated to rise 5% in the first half of 2022, with economists blaming higher wages and material and freight costs. The Labor Department reported the Consumer Price Index rose 6.8% in November. That's up from a year ago, the fastest pace since 1982. Florida's threatened and protected manatees have died in record numbers this year, leading to an unprecedented, never-before-tried rescue plan. Phil Keating has the details from Florida.
As gentle and cute as manatees are, they are dying. A record number this year, more than 1,000. The mass die-off all boils down to pollution. From every source you can think of, fertilizer runoff from farms and lawns, leaking sewage, and industrial pollution, which makes its way into Florida's watershed, creating toxic algae blooms, which not only kills tons of marine life, but also clouds out sunlight, killing off tens of thousands of acres of seagrass, the main diet of the big mammals. And that has resulted in this: manatee carcasses on the shoreline. For the first time, starvation, rather than boat propellers, accounts for most of the manatee fatalities.
If the seagrass isn't as abundant as it was, then they have to go a longer distance to try to find food. That takes calories, it takes energy, and it puts a strain on the manatee.
Most of the 1,000 plus manatee deaths this year have happened in and along the Indian River. So for the first time, wildlife officials have come up with a new plan on how to help try to save the manatee: feeding them lettuce and cabbage. Florida's manatee population is estimated to be around 7,000, having rebounded several years ago from the endangered species list. They're now listed as threatened, so they are still protected.
174 axillary.
But there is help. Florida Wildlife and SeaWorld rescue and rehabilitate manatees, more than 50 this year, like this mom and her calf.
A little bit more, guys. A little more.
The big sea cows are fed, tagged, and released back into the wild.
They're a big part of Florida down here. Everybody knows who they are. They're another species that we're trying to help and make sure that this population doesn't, go down the tank here in the next 10 years or so.
Florida's Save the Manatee Club warns regular people not to feed them yourselves. That's against the law and can make manatees less fearful of humans and boats.
Record holiday spending. Retailers saved from a gloomy Christmas holiday. Sales rose at the fastest pace in 17 years, mostly thanks to early shoppers. The National Retail Federation reports holiday sales may reach $859 billion this year. That's up nearly 11% from pre-pandemic levels. According to MasterCard Spending Pulse, sales rose 8.5% compared to a year ago. Recent studies found many caregivers who care for aging or sick family members, they had less support and more stress during the pandemic. That's compounded at the holidays as COVID cases are rising. Heather Sullivan has some tips on how to help caregivers through the holidays.
A University of Chicago study reports that 1/5 of U.S. adults were caregivers to an older family member or friend during the pandemic. And any caregiver can tell you it is a very stressful responsibility.
When I became a caregiver along with my mom caring for my grandmother, it was just the number one thing we needed. We just wanted a human to speak to get that advice.
The surge in COVID cases at the holidays are sandwiching caregivers between caring for children and aging or ill loved ones.
What's extra stressful for them is the fact that they are looking out not only for themselves, but for this older adult or someone with dementia that is at the highest risk.
And caregivers rarely ask for help.
They don't, in fact, ask for help. And this is always my number one piece of advice. Most people don't know what you're going through.
There are easy ways to help a caregiver.
Say, what can I give? Can I give time? Can I give money? Can I give food?
You can provide a break.
This could be a 10-minute phone call. It could be a trip to a spa or to the golf course while you arrange for someone to be with that person, either yourself or someone else to come in.
Or just lend an ear.
Also, just providing a listening ear. Don't problem solve, just be there to say, I want to hear you.
And tips for caregivers. Have medications and supplies to last through January 2nd. Remember, you can use funds in an FSA before year's end. Have medical contact information if the doctor is away. And if you're going away,
set up a check-in schedule with other family members and friends so that the loved one that you're caring for can rely on somebody checking in on them throughout the holidays.
And how about a smile to leave you with tonight? A popular coffee-flavored liqueur wants to know if you can go on a diet but not from drinks. Kahlua, the coffee, rum, and sugar liqueur, has a challenge to see if you can disconnect from technology and the internet for a month. Kahlua's Strip Up Your Routine Challenge will give $25,000 to one tech-starved chosen couple. You must be internet and social media free, take a polygraph test, and you'll get some Kahlua to help. Go to Kahlua's Twitter or search Kahlua Stir It Up Challenge, and you can register there.